Good evening, Middle Georgia. I'm Amanda Peralta.
And I'm Greg Lloyd. Amanda and I are happy to have you at 5:30 for WGXA News. Let's take a look at our top stories tonight. Distracted driving and DUIs posing big risk to young drivers. Peach County High School gave their students an up-close look at the consequences today. Peach County students took part in a defensive driving simulation Thursday, along with mock traffic stops conducted by Peach County law enforcement officers. And tonight we're asking you, do you think Georgia's hands-free driving law is working to prevent distracted driving? Scan the QR code to take part in our interactive poll. It's also available on WGXA.tv.
And for the first time in recent history, a Macon courtroom holds a trial with an anonymous jury. The jury convicted several gang members on federal charges. Court officers say because members of the Gangster Disciples threatened jurors, they took many steps to protect them. That included an anonymous panel escorted by U.S. Marshals.
Caregivers in Middle Georgia are finding their strength with the help of Piedmont Macon and Jativa Hospice, who co-sponsored the 2023 Caregiver Symposium. Organizers say it's an opportunity for caregivers to hear the personal stories of others like them and to learn about resources available to them in the community.
Download the WGXA News app or go to WGXA.tv for more on today's top stories. The country is teetering closer to a government shutdown at the end of the month after Republicans failed to coalesce and support their own defense funding bill.
Yeah, and Amanda, it is just another sign of the divisions that are paralyzing the party. Madeline Rivera reports tonight from Washington.
The yeas are 212, the nays are 216. The resolution is not adopted.
Another defeat for Republicans in the House. A bill to fund the Pentagon failed to advance for the second time this week, blocked once more by far-right conservatives.
This is a whole new concept of individuals that just want to burn the whole place down.
It's a stunning reversal from the optimism that Speaker Kevin McCarthy had conveyed earlier on Thursday, when he signaled he had won over some holdouts. But lawmakers who rejected the procedural vote on the defense bill are frustrated with what they see as runaway spending in Washington and are employing hardline tactics to get their demands.
The people back in my district, they're tired of the way this town works. They understand there's no appetite to quit spending money we don't have.
The divisions don't bode well for a separate short-term resolution that Republicans had hatched over the weekend. It would fund the government on an interim basis, cut spending, and beef up border security. However, some GOP members think the proposal doesn't go far enough. In a Truth Social post, former President Trump encouraged them not to back down, saying in part, Republicans in Congress can and must defund all aspects of crooked Joe Biden's weaponized government. With Republicans at a standstill, some say a government shutdown is all but certain.
Well, unless McCarthy can rein his most extremist MAGA faction in, it's inevitable.
House members who were originally told to stay in D.C. for potential votes are now being told to go home for the weekend. It's unclear what this means for funding negotiations. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Well, boxed in by conservatives, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is now relying on a new strategy.
He's attempting to pass a stopgap funding bill at $1.4 trillion, which includes border funding that the White House opposes and no new aid for Ukraine. The move will likely be gutted in the Senate, and then McCarthy will be back where he started.
One option is working with Democrats, but McCarthy will lose hardliner conservatives.
To keep the government open with a clean, continuing resolution, and that can be done with all Democrats and just a few Republicans.
Now, if Republican moderates want to go team up with Democrats and sign a discharge petition to take over the floor with Democrats, well, they'll be signing their own political death warrant.
Congressman Gates is threatening to oust McCarthy from leadership if he goes in that direction. Cutting a deal with Democrats might be the best option to avoid a prolonged shutdown, but going that route takes time that McCarthy may not have.
A shutdown at the end of this month would be the first since 2018, and tonight we want to break down some big ones historically. The shutdown in December of 2018 lasted for 34 days. The next longest one was 21 days in December of 1995. September of 2013, now a 16-day shutdown. In November of 95, the government shut down for 5 days, and other shutdowns have lasted 3 days or fewer. Economists say shutdowns tend to minimally impact economic growth as long as they're short-lived.
Some lawmakers on Capitol Hill want to end even the possibility of a government shutdown and force Congress to do its job.
People don't want to shut down government. We just got to work together. We have a bill. It's a prevent government shutdown bill, which hopefully we're going to get a vote on in the Senate. That basically says we're not going to shut down government anymore.
Rick Scott is part one of a bipartisan group of senators that proposed the bill earlier this year. It would force lawmakers to stay in Washington, D.C. and work if they miss a deadline on spending bills. If they still can't come together and prevent a lapse in government funding, this bill would implement an automatic continuing resolution on rolling 2-week periods based on the spending levels enacted the previous fiscal year. Other lawmakers have proposed ideas like cutting off lawmakers' pay or forcing them to work 7-day work weeks. Time to check back on the Skywatch weather forecast with a mixture of sun and clouds, but it's still not bad.
Not bad at all, and we're going to take it and enjoy it while we can. Meteorologist Ryan Mirando is here with the changes over the next few days. Ryan?
Yeah, Greg, right now everything's pretty calm and relatively normal. Looking out to Dublin with our Wilson Bryant Heating and Air Skycast Network, see a little bit of blue, but a little bit of gray for some of those clouds out there as well. Temperature's very comfortable today, in the low 80s. So if you have any plans for the rest of your Thursday night, really going to be pretty spectacular. 78 degrees at 6 o'clock, 70 degrees by 10. We'll hold on to those partly cloudy skies as we drop down into the low 60s again tonight. So tonight won't be quite as cold as it's been earlier this week. 62 in Macon, 63 in Warner Robins, 64 in Roberta, 64 in Mount Vernon, and 63 degrees the overnight low for tomorrow morning in Sandersville. Now over the next 2 days, our weather's going to be changing a little bit thanks to this system likely becoming our 15th tropical named storm of the year, Ophelia. As it makes a track over the next few days, I'll break down where exactly the storm could be headed and the impacts we will feel here in Middle Georgia, all coming up in the full Skywatch weather forecast. Greg, Amanda.
All right, Ryan, thank you. It's a great time to download the free WGXA weather app, and we've made it just as easy for you as possible. Scan the QR code on your screen. It downloads straight to your smartphone or device. Ryan's back in less than 20 minutes with your 10-day forecast. Tonight, a major change in policy from the Biden administration. Nearly 500,000 Venezuelans already in the United States will now be eligible for temporary protected status, which will allow them to live and work legally in this country for 18 months. That decision comes as cities like New York have run out of resource caring for migrants who are unable to work. Christine Frizzell reports as another surge is occurring at the southern border. With warning policies like this, will it make the challenges even greater?
In the last few days, new dramatic measures taken at the southern border. One of Mexico's largest freight rail operators, Ferromex, has suspended service on 60 lines headed toward the United States after dozens of migrants were either killed or injured trying to hitch a ride. The Bridge of the Americas in El Paso temporarily shut down to cargo processing so that thousands of migrants can be processed. Border agents reporting the daily totals reaching 10,000 migrants encountered in a 24-hour period, one of the highest levels ever reported. The Biden administration also sending 800 active duty troops to the border. But in a new video, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is blaming the Biden administration for cutting razor wire, quote, opening the floodgates to illegal immigrants.
When we see Border Patrol agents cutting the concertina wire, that completely undermines what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is actually prevent illegal border crossings and stop them at the river.
Thousands of miles away in New York City, protests in the street after more than 100,000 migrants have arrived in recent months, mostly by bus, overwhelming city resources. Leaders now hopeful following the Biden administration's announcement 472,000 migrants from Venezuela will be given temporary protective status and get work permits immediately.
About 41% of the people in our shelters today are from Venezuela.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas attributing the decision to Venezuela's increased instability and conditions that prevent individuals from safely returning, but that it only applies to those who arrived on or before July 31st. But Republicans say this new policy will simply be another incentive to make migrants come to the country if they think there's a chance they could stay. Meanwhile, political analysts tell me it will be this issue, the crisis at the southern border, that makes it most difficult for President Biden to win re-election. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzell.
As President Biden takes new actions to try to crack down on illegal crossings at the southern border, former President Trump outlines what his plan would be if he's reelected, and it involves invoking a wartime law to deport people.
When we defend the borders of foreign countries, we must secure the border of our country. It's very simple.
Stop in Iowa, Trump said he'd like to use the Alien Enemies Act, part of the Alien and Sedition Acts of 1798, to detain and deport suspected gang members, drug dealers, and cartel members in the U.S. He'd also like to reinstate and expand the travel ban that he enforced early on in his presidency. It barred individuals from 7 countries, mostly Muslim-majority countries, from entering the U.S. And Trump would send thousands of troops currently stationed overseas to the southern border. Biden has spent much of his presidency undoing many actions that Trump took on the border, calling them inhumane.
As lawmakers in Washington debate the country's spending habits, they have another critical consideration. How much do they continue to pay for the war in Ukraine?
Already, the U.S. government has provided over $100 billion, well more than any other country. And today, Ukraine's leader came to Washington asking for even more help. Chief Political Correspondent Scott Thuman with a look at the challenges.
With hat in hand, Ukraine's president on Capitol Hill asking for more support in the no-end-in-sight war against Russia. But lawmakers less enthusiastic than a year ago.
I will not consent to any expedited passage of any spending bill that provides any more American aid to Ukraine. It's as if no one has noticed that we have no extra money to send to Ukraine.
Is Zelensky elected to Congress? Is he our president? I don't think I have to commit anything. I have questions for him. Where's the accountability on the money we already spent? What is the plan for victory? I think that's what the American public wants to know.
And the belt tightening even more, with Congress facing a potential government shutdown at the end of the month, burdened by a national debt of $33 trillion and growing. 55% of Americans say it's time to stop giving funds to Ukraine.
If we were to have a government shutdown or to pass a CR with no Ukraine aid, that the effect on Ukraine would be very quick and devastating. We cannot let Putin win. Without aid, Ukraine could run the very strong risk of being defeated.
Possibly encouraging Russia to invade other neighbors and embolden China's spread too. Shore up support from other world leaders who may be determined to defeat Vladimir Putin, but also weary of the costs.
We must act united to defeat the aggressor.
Now hoping Washington, above most, will help him do that. On Capitol Hill, I'm Scott Thuman.
Well, India has suspended its visa services in Canada. The latest move comes after Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said there were credible allegations that India was connected to the assassination of an independence activist in Canada. The activist was shot and killed back on June 18th in British Columbia. India has denied the allegations. Canada and India each expelled diplomats from their respective countries earlier this week. India has fought against establishing an independent homeland known as Khalistan since the 1980s.
A new season means new opportunities for travel. After the break, what changes we could see during the holiday season?
We're taking a live look outside the Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta this evening, as hitting the road this autumn might look a little bit different than in past years.
While airfare has dropped as usual, there are major concerns hanging over this fall travel season. Mike Valerio explains.
Fall is here, and with it usually comes ideal travel conditions. Flights and gas are typically cheaper and airports less crowded.
September and October marks a time when most students go back to school. Folks head back to regular work schedules after a more flexible summer.
This year, however, could look very different. Gas prices reached record highs this week, and the national average remains above $3.85, according to AAA. The good news, according to an expert from the travel app Hopper, autumn airfares are 9% less expensive than last year and 10% cheaper than in 2019.
This is in part due to higher capacity on the airline side and the opening of international demand this summer.
But that higher capacity could hit a snag. Contract negotiations continue with flight attendants at 4 major airlines as they inch closer to potential strikes. The looming government shutdown could also cause major travel headaches. TSA officers would have to work without pay, threatening delays across the country. It would also halt training on new air traffic controllers at a time when they're already struggling with staff shortages.
A government shutdown would stop us in our tracks. It would stop training at just the moment when we're finally trending positive again.
In Los Angeles, I'm Mike Valerio.
And we're getting towards the end of the week, which means it's time for another Friday night football. And the forecast for tomorrow is looking pretty nice. We got lots of sunshine at kickoff time, 78 degrees. We'll keep the clear skies throughout the games tomorrow night as temperatures drop into the upper 60s by the final play. But it will be breezy tomorrow with winds gusting up near 15 miles per hour. So let's go live on our Wilson Bryant Heating and Air Skycast Network. Looking out to Mercer University, got kind of that mixture of sun and clouds, not completely blue skies, but we're mainly dry for the most part. We were talking yesterday that there could be some showers and storms generally southeast of Macon, and some of them are trying to push across 16 right now. Washington County, Truitland County, down towards Lawrence and Johnson County could get a few downpours, even a rumble of thunder or two, but these really will be falling apart the farther that they push west, not expecting widespread rain really at all for tonight. The big weather maker this weekend is going to be this. Potential tropical cyclone 16 doesn't have a name, likely will become Ophelia over the next 24 hours or so. Notice that it's starting to get some more organized, some of that rotation together, so it's not a tropical storm quite yet, but it's going to be pushing north into the Carolinas by the first half of the weekend as a tropical storm pushing through Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, up towards New York by the second half of the weekend. And this could really be a rain soaker. But for now, there are tropical storm warnings in effect for most of South Carolina, all through North Carolina, up through Virginia and in towards Maryland for winds gusting up above 45 miles per hour. Could even cause some storm surge 2 to 3 feet right along the coastal areas. But then this could be quite the rain soaker. Areas down towards North Carolina, 4 to 6 inches of rain up through the Delmarva Peninsula, up to 2 to 3 inches. Notice though, we don't get any of the rain for the system. We'll be far enough away that we don't get any of the rain, but we could have a bit of a breeze tomorrow. By Friday at 1 o'clock, winds gusting up near 20 miles per hour, and we do it again on Saturday, not quite as blustery, winds gusting up near 15 miles per hour, but with all this, it'll really knock the clouds out of the way. So tomorrow's a day to grab the sunglasses out the door. 64 degrees at 7 o'clock, 82 degrees by 4, going for a high of 84 degrees, bright sunshine, but breezy at times. For the rest of your Thursday night, we could begin to pick up some of that breeze, but it's comfortable and seasonable, low down to 62 degrees, and make it another night into the upper 60s instead of down into the low 50s like earlier this week. And in your 10-day forecast, full sunshine tomorrow, winds gusting up to 15 miles per hour, a bit breezy, 84 degrees. Fall officially arrives at 2:50 in the morning Saturday. So when waking up for the first half of the weekend, fall is officially here, up to 87 degrees. Sunday's looking pretty nice. The wind will be diminishing back down with lots of sunshine, but that means we're warming up a little bit, up to 88 degrees on Sunday, but we'll keep the low humidity. Monday back to work next week, looking really nice, a mixture of sun and clouds, refreshing, up to 85 degrees. And then we're watching for a cold front to be pushing through potentially Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Doesn't look like it'll be a washout, but we could have some isolated storms Tuesday night that could be lingering around until Wednesday morning. Temperatures these days on either side of 83 degrees. And next Thursday, we could have a few more pop-ups around with a mixture of sun and clouds, still staying mostly dry, not a lot of big rain chances, a few pop-ups with a high up to 82 degrees. Our average high this time of year is 87. And lastly, here's your Harrison's Body Shop fishing game forecast. Peaks at 6:40 a.m. and 8 p.m. We'll be right back.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gary Thigpen, and I'm here again today at All About Animals Rescue here in Macon-Bibb. I'm joined again today with Lisa, and also we got Abby with us today, who is a volunteer here, and we are going to show you now someone that is a very special dog. Phoebe is her name. Tell us about Phoebe.
This is Abby's favorite dog, isn't it, Abby? Yes. This is Phoebe. We love Phoebe. Now, she's been here for a little while.
We've showcased Phoebe, I think, before.
We have showcased her before, and she's still here.
Oh,
I know.
got to find her a home.
We got to find her a home. She's a couple of years old, and we do want to let people know that she does well just by herself. Let her be the only dog. Say, sometimes I don't get along with other dogs.
Or cats.
Or
I don't think
cats.
she likes cats either.
So she just needs to be the one and only.
Yep, and I'm sure she could handle being the one and only in the home, getting all that attention. And look, she deserves it. Look how sweet she is. And so, Lisa, if someone would like, yes, she is. If someone would like to adopt Phoebe, how would they do that?
Please send us a message on Facebook. That's the best thing. All About Animals Rescue. Send us a message. Let us know you saw Phoebe on TV and you would like to set up. We always set up meet and greets.
Yep.
But she's fully vetted and she's ready for her forever home.
And guess what? We've got some good news. You heard us talking a while back about Cholula was my favorite. We found out Cholula is a pending adoption.
Yay.
So thank goodness, it looks like Cholula may be finding a home. So let's go ahead and find Phoebe a home, all these other dogs that need a good home. And thank you so much, Lisa and Abby.
Thank you so very much.
Folks, I was noticing on my way to work today, and I suspected there was no big winner in Wednesday night's Powerball drawing. Turns out I was right. The lottery says the jackpot is now worth an estimated $725 million. Now, that would be the 8th largest prize in the game's history. A person who matches all 6 numbers can get the full amount of cash over 29 years, or they can get a lump sum of about $346 million, though no one secured the top prize.
They can do better.
2 tickets sold in Georgia and Texas took home $2 million each. The next Powerball drawing is Saturday night.
I feel like the Powerball and like lotteries this year has gotten really popular. There's always like some big winner. I think it's kind of like hyping up more people, so then like the prize pot is getting larger.
But I think this year and last year, I remember spring of last year, there was a really big jackpot for one of the games. I don't remember which one, but what this tells me is we all need to start making our plans again of what we're going to do when we win.
Right. I think I would like invest it with a house. I think that'd be the first thing I would buy is like a really nice, not aquarium-like house. It needs to have wood and color.
Okay, that's pretty cool. What about you, Amanda? Do you have a plan? Like, what would you buy first if you won
What would
the
I
lottery?
buy first?
Something really decadent.
We're going to buy the station.
I'm thinking of like my responsibilities.
fun.
I'm like, okay, I could pay off this, I could pay off that. Okay.
Well, that's good though. That shows your responsibilities. You know,
Boring.
I would
Student
buy a
loans.
new car.
There's a reason I'm here.
Yeah.
True. Big
I would
retweet.
totally buy a new car. I think that would be my
Okay.
first purchase.
Actually, I think I would buy a
Yeah.
new car too. I just don't know what I would do with my car now, but
Yeah. Hey, with that kind of money,
that's a later problem
that's
for
right.
me.
It'll work itself out somehow.
So then this means we all need to go to a lottery place where we can buy a ticket, hold hands, and manifest it into existence.
Okay.
That won't be weird at all, but we'll
No.
do it. That's it for the news, everybody.
We invite you to join us at 6 on ABC 16.
We'll see you there. Bye.